Welcome back to This is a Commander channel, where this is a Commander channel, and today I'm going to talk about Commander Tough Rules and Cool Interactions, episode 73. Today's episode is going to take another look at something this channel has covered many times, and that is the layers system. I'm going to provide a scenario using one of the recent legendary creatures from the Phyrexia All Will Be One set that I'm actually planning to use as a commander in one of my new decks. And while I was working on the deck list, I realized that this would be a super confusing thing for many players. So let's begin. The commander is Graaz Unstoppable Juggernaut, which is a 7/5 artifact creature and is a Juggernaut for 8 mana, which is a lot of mana. So what does he do? Graaz has 3 abilities. The first one says that Juggernauts you control attack each combat if able. His second ability says that Juggernauts you control can't be blocked by walls. And then his third ability says that other creatures you control have base power and toughness 5/3 and are Juggernauts in addition to their other creature types. So in this scenario, you have out Graaz, and you have also just played your Myr Battlesphere, which is a 4/7 creature that has an ETB triggered ability that says, when Myr Battlesphere enters the battlefield, create 4 1/1 colorless Myr artifact creature tokens. So this means that all 4 of those Myr tokens are now 5/3 Myr Juggernauts that must attack each turn if able, or each combat if able, and also cannot be blocked by walls. And then the Battlesphere is a 5/3 Myr Construct Juggernaut with those same 2 abilities, as well as its attack triggered ability, which I won't be bothering reading as it's not important to this scenario. Okay, so next turn, your Battlesphere and your Myr tokens have no summoning sickness and can attack. So you declare all 6 of your creatures as attackers. You do not use the attack triggered ability on the Battlesphere. Your opponent, who is at 20 life, assigns no blockers, and before moving to combat damage, they flash out a dress down to try and save themselves. Will they live? So first, let's read what dress down says. It's an enchantment with flash, which lets the controller cast it at any time they could cast an instant. Then it has 3 other abilities. The first says that when dress down enters the battlefield, draw a card. The second one says that creatures lose all abilities. And then the last ability says that at the beginning of the end step, sacrifice dress down. We don't really care about the card draw or the sack at end of turn. What we do care about is that static ability that says creatures lose all abilities. So again, you've attacked with 6 creatures, one of which is a 7/5, and the other 5 are all 5/3 creatures because of the ability on the Graaz. And now your opponent has flashed out this dress down. What will happen when we go to damage? Your opponent that cast dress down was at 20 health, but now after the combat damage step, how much life will your opponent have? Feel free to pause the video, and some of you are probably thinking that it won't be the obvious answer because why would I be making a video on this if it was? But then again, based on your rules knowledge, what is considered the obvious answer? Some of you may be saying that your opponent will take 15 damage and therefore still have 5 life and live. Your mindset is probably that your Graaz hits for 7 as he is a base 7 power and his ability doesn't apply to himself. And then the Battlesphere will hit for 4 and each of the Myr tokens will hit for just 1 as that is all of their respective base powers. And then the Graaz ability setting their power to 5 has been removed by the dress down. So let's dive into this mindset and see if it is indeed correct. Earlier in the video, I said that this is a layers situation. For more information about layers, you can check out the comprehensive rules in section 613. But basically in Magic, there are 7 layers for which all of the continuous effects in Magic apply in. So some examples of these layers, these continuous effects, and cards that have an effect that applies in the layer would be like Layer 2, which is the control layer, and a card like Confiscate. Layer 4, which is the type changing layer, and the card Blood Moon. or Layer 5, which is the color-changing layer, and a card like Blind Seer. So in your average game of Commander, you're probably going to see things that apply in layers 6 and 7, which are the ability layer and the power and/or toughness layers, respectively. So let's take a look at Graaz and read his third ability just one more time. It says, other creatures you control have base power and toughness 5/3 and are juggernauts in addition to their other creature types. So what layer does his continuous effect apply in? Many of you might be saying that it is layer 7, as it sets your other creature's power toughness to 5/3, and you would be correct, but only partially. His ability also says that they are juggernauts in addition to their other creature types. Keyword there is types. So this effect is also a type-changing ability, which is again applying in layer 4, like with Blood Moon. Oftentimes, the layer system is confusing because of timestamps and dependencies. I've covered some examples of these sorts of things in other videos, but in today's video, the confusion comes down to abilities that apply in multiple layers. Just a bit ago, I said that the two most common layers that you encounter from effects in a typical game of Commander were in layer 6 and 7, and I already said that Graaz's ability applied in layer 7 for the setting of power and toughness. But none of the examples I've given so far have been in layer 6, and that's where Dress Down comes into play. It is an ability that seeks to remove abilities, so it applies in layer 6. So layer 6 happens before layer 7. So why does Dress Down not remove the 5/3 setting ability from Graaz first before it does try to apply? The answer comes down to Comprehensive Rules 613.6, which says that if an effect should be applied in different layers and/or sublayers, the parts of the effect each apply in their appropriate ones. If an effect starts to apply in one layer and/or sublayer, it will continue to be applied to the same set of objects in each other applicable layer and/or sublayer, even if the ability generating the effect is removed during this process. So Graaz's ability that sets other creatures you control to be 5/3s is also adding a creature type to them, which again, the type layer is layer 4. So it will begin to apply to your 4 Myr tokens and the Battlesphere in layer 4, adding the Juggernaut type to them. Then in layer 6, Dress Down will remove abilities. This actually will remove the requirement that they must attack each turn if able, and it will remove the ability that makes them unblockable to walls. And then finally, in layer 7, Graaz's ability that added their Juggernaut type had already begun to apply, and therefore it will continue to apply and make your other creatures 5/3s. So the answer to how much damage the Dress Down playing opponent will be taking is not 15, but they will instead take 32, meaning that they will be at -12 life and die. I know that this video has already been pretty long and complicated, but I do want to ask a couple bonus questions. So first bonus question, if you used Dance of the Manse with an X valued at 6 to bring back Dress Down, what would happen at the end of turn for Dress Down? For those listening, Dance of the Manse is a sorcery that says, return up to X target artifact and/or non-aura enchantment cards, each with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. If X is 6 or more, those permanents are 4/4 creatures in addition to their other types. And then the second bonus question, you have a creature in play with a Fire Shrieker attached to it, and that is an equipment that says the equipped creature has double strike. And then your opponent plays their Dress Down. Is there a way that you can still give your creature double strike with the equipment? Anyhow, that's all I've got for today's episode. As always, I hope that all of you have found this video to be entertaining at least, and I hope that a few of you have even learned something about the crazy rules in this great game of Magic. Have a good one. Ta-ta.